Alright, well, this video is going to be about the supposed attack in France today, also how it connects back to Donald Trump and Donald Trump picking this guy, Mike Pence, to be his vice president. It also connects back to, once again, this royal theme that they keep running, and it goes clear back to the Miss Universe pageant that I have mentioned multiple times. I just made a video on this Miss Missouri. I talked about it in there. I'll leave some of these links in the description. Definitely videos to check out. There's just a whole lot of re-explaining that I would have to do. So please check out these videos if you haven't. And what I'm going to say in this video will make a lot more sense. But I guess to sum it up, I talked a lot about the Miss Universe pageant where Steve Harvey said that Miss Columbia won, and it was actually supposed to be Miss Philippines. And at the time I was talking about how it had something to do with a switch in power, right? Queen Elizabeth possibly dying. And I thought maybe it had something to do with Pope Francis as well, which it still might. But, I'm thinking more now as I've been following this stuff for the past, 7 months or a little bit more. It's definitely connected to her son, Prince Charles, right? So if she dies, he will become King Charles III. Made multiple videos on how he's connected to the English Civil War, and we have all this race war stuff in the news. We have, just lots of coding to even the American Civil War. I even talked about Sandra Bullock in the movie Miss Congeniality, and also, she's Scarlet Overkill in the Minions movie that's trying to steal Queen Elizabeth's crown and whatnot. You had Bob, who pulls the sword from the stone, then he's sitting on the white horse. We end the Super Bowl this year. We even had the white Bronco beat the Black Panther. We had O.J. Simpson come back up in the news, the white Bronco. You had the Invictus Games in Orlando. Then we had the gay nightclub shooting in Orlando. Invicta is a white horse, the white horse of Revelation. It never ends. There's just been so much coding. There's even stuff connected to the Triple Crown this year, and also, or not necessarily the Triple Crown because there wasn't a Triple Crown winner, but just the horse races in general. The Cleveland Cavaliers won. A Cavalier is a follower of King Charles during the English Civil War, but a Cavalier is also a horse. Anyway, so just the other day, once again, I noticed some, not necessarily Miss Universe, but just a beauty pageant stuff. So we had this shooting outside of the Michigan courthouse. I talked about Michigan equals 46. Well, I didn't talk about it, I just made this blog post, but Michigan equals 46, courthouse equals 46. Supposedly 2 bailiffs were shot, bailiffs equals 46. I talked about it, how it connects to the civil rights stuff yet again, because this was right after the Alton Sterling and the Philando Castile shooting, and then the Dallas thing. Civil rights equals 64 like Michigan, and also, the reverse of 46 here. The Civil Rights Act passed in 1964 when Lyndon B. Johnson was the president, who equals 64. He became president after JFK. JFK died at the age of 46. His wife died at the age of 64. Lyndon B. Johnson even died at the age of 64. Anyway, without gematria, some of the things that stuck out to me in this story were the fact that it was in St. Joseph, Michigan. And I live fairly close to St. Joseph, Missouri. I don't even know what it is. It's probably 2 hours away or something close to that. And the reason I even mention that, and I'll bring that back up in a little bit here, I'm going to try to go through some of these posts, but we got the monster of Maryvale, right, that was in West Phoenix, or that's where Maryvale is, and then you have Maryville, which is really close to St. Joseph, Missouri, and whatnot. But like I said, I'll get back to that. But that's what really stuck out to me in this story. And I just so happened to look up St. Joseph, Michigan, because I've never heard of it. But just so happens that this lady right here, Nina, however you say that, she was Miss America 2014, and she went to high school in St. Joseph, Michigan, which is also, just what are the odds Miss America is from there? The town, when I looked it up, it said it was like 8,000 or somewhere in between 8 and 9,000 people. The odds of that to have a Miss America, something that I've been mentioning multiple times about these beauty pageants and whatnot, and how it connects to Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth pretty much is Miss America, and she wants to be Miss Universe. Or who knows, maybe she is, but just found that interesting. I've also mentioned a lot of this Native American theme and something to do with the area that I live in. And when I looked up this town, they talked about the Miami Indians and the Potawatomi. And I also have mentioned Council Bluffs, Iowa, which was the starting point of the Mormon Trail, and the tribe of Indians that my town killed, the last keeper of the sacred pole, actually are the reason that the Mormons came to this area and whatever. But Council Bluffs, Iowa is in Potawatomi County. That's named after the Potawatomi Indians even. So I threw that in there. I want to move on here though. There was also a story of a former Miss Alabama, who was the first black Miss Alabama, and she posted this video. Basically, she said that Micah X Johnson, the shooter in Dallas, was a martyr. So, just found it interesting. It was once again a story about something in regards to beauty pageants. But I'm telling you, I've been mentioning how there's something more super connected to that Miss Universe pageant on December 20th, which I will get to. But, I never had seen this before. They referred to him as Micah X Johnson instead of Micah Xavier Johnson. And it's just funny, just think about it. Malcolm X, Micah X. She calls him a martyr. Martyr equals 95. His last name equals 95. No wonder she called him that. Her name in Gematria just so happens to sum to 59. Just, a number that's always stamped on black people. Slave 59, Negro 59, Cotton Picker, Jigaboo, Blues, Motown Records came out in 59. Look at how you do this word right there. 5 plus 9 plus 7 plus 7 plus 5 plus 9. That equals 42. February, Black History Month, also equals 42. The only month to equal 42. It normally ends on the 59th day of the year. Has the 42nd day in it. Tons of other examples. Obamacare. Michael Jordan. Eli Whitney. Even died at the age of 59. The guy who invented the cotton gin. But, also, Miss Alabama equals 28, just like Dallas, Texas, where she's talking about Micah X. Micah X equals 31 and 58 in Gematria. Alabama equals 13 and 31. Malcolm X, you think of Nation of Islam. You also think of Muhammad Ali, but Nation of Islam, 58. The guy who was the current leader, his name equals 58. Black Panthers equals 58. They were founded in Oakland, that equals 58. By Huey P. Newton, that equals 58. Freemasonry equals 58. Alton Sterling equals 58. His son, it's Cameron Sterling. The gematria of his name is 74 and 173. The word Masonic equals 74. Black Lives Matter equals 173. Doubt that's his real kid, Also interesting, this girl won Miss Alabama in 1993. Malcolm X equals 93. Martin Luther King Jr. equals 93. They both died at the age of 39. Remember, Michael Jackson did the Super Bowl in 1993, the halftime show at the Super Bowl. This year, Beyonce wears the X, just like Michael Jackson. And Beyonce does the halftime show as a tribute to the Black Panthers. The score was 24-10. X is the 24th letter. And Roman numerals, X is even 10. Even Malcolm equals 24. X, once again, the 24th letter. His real last name was Little. Little equals 24 even. Anyway, moving on. So I made a post about Theresa May becoming the new British Prime Minister. I even talked about how it's connected to Miss Universe. We got the news on 7/11 that she'll become the new Prime Minister on 7/13, which was yesterday. The reason that she won was because this lady dropped out, Andrea Leadsom, which is just interesting because when I looked her up, her birthday was May 13th. A big number that I was being shown by my copyright claims and whatnot. I talked about, or I guess it was 134, 135, 165. May 13th, 13/5, also the 134th day of the year. There was a whole bunch of other stuff in regards to May 13th, so I thought it was interesting. She dropped out, and then that's how she won, and she was born on May 13th. If you go from May 13th to the day that this news article came out, it was a span of 60 days, or also 1 month, 29 days. I've also seen 129 a whole lot. Micah Johnson even equals 129. I even made a post somewhere about Tim Duncan. He retired 1 month, 29 days after his last NBA game. And also the death of Kyle Callaway, the former Iowa Hawkeye, who died in Vail, Arizona. He died 1 month, 29 days before Iowa's first football game this year. Ton of other stuff, but let's move on here. So the reason I even mentioned that, so May 13th, 1 month, 29 days to the day this article came out. And if you go from this article to the day that the election was supposed to be on, it's on 9/9, which is also a span of 1 month, 29 days. So in regards to Prince Charles, so July 13th was the day that Theresa May became the Prime Minister. Her birthday just so happens to be on October 1st, which is 80 days later. Conservative Party equals 80, King Charles III equals 80, American Civil War equals 80. This day I also mentioned a whole lot last year. It was the day of the Roseburg, Oregon shooting. The one that had the guy from the French train attack. He was from Roseburg, Oregon. Oh, the odds. It was also Jimmy Carter's 91st birthday. Then literally Jimmy Carter's grandson died 80 days after this, and it just so happened to be December 20th, the day of the Miss Universe pageant, that had 80 contestants. If you write out December 20th in Gematria, it even equals 80. Like I said, Jimmy Carter turned 91 this day as well. This day leaves 91 days left until the end of the year. So just interesting that she was born on that day. It's even 10/1, right? Philadelphia equals 101. A place that I've mentioned tons of times. Philadelphia is where the Fresh Prince comes from. She was even born in the year 56, a number that has a lot of significance to Philadelphia. Allen Iverson equals 56. Larry Brown equals 56. There was 56 signers on the Declaration of Independence. The first was John Hancock, who died at the age of 56. The last one was Charles Carroll III, which reminds you a lot of Prince Charles, who will be King Charles III. But anyway, that guy died 56 years after signing the Declaration of Independence. He was the last person to die who signed it even. Paris, France equals 56, ISIS 56, President 56, Osama bin Laden 56, Saddam Hussein 56, Adolf Hitler 56, Black Lives Matter equals 56, Royal Family equals 56. Just a super important number and a lot of significant things. Anyway, also in regards to the 80s, Roseburg, Oregon equals 80, just like King Charles III, Jimmy Carter's grandson dies 80 days later. A lot of times, 80 days is also 2 months, 19 days. 219, a huge number I keep mentioning in regards to August 7th, and Queen Elizabeth and Pope Francis. A whole lot to explain. If I listen to this before I post it, I'll leave a little note that re-explains some of the stuff in regards to 219 and 87, but I've mentioned it in so many videos recently. Anyway, also in regards to the 10-1 leaving 91 days in the year, 91 I've noticed a lot around elimination and death and whatnot. James Garfield, one of the assassinated presidents, died on 9/19. You know the mirrors, 91, 19. September 19th equals 91. He's even born on November 19th. That also adds up to 91. That was also the same day that King Charles I was born or whatever. Anyway, James Garfield, shot by this guy, Charles Julius Gittow, or however you say that, equals 80. And this guy even was executed 9 months and 11 days after Garfield, which sticks out to me considering if you go from the Miss Universe pageant to 10-1 this year, it's also a span of 9 months, 11 days. Some other interesting 80s Florida nightclub, Big Stick. You know, I just talked about Teddy Roosevelt's speech. He was the vice president for William McKinley, another assassinated president. He gave a speech about the Big Stick in Falcon Heights, Minnesota, right, where Philando Castile died. Baton Rouge, named after the Red Stick, marking the hunting boundaries between the Huma and the Bayogula people, however you say that. I also talked about this Native American theme, which is in regards to this as well, but whatever the reason, I went and watched this movie in the theater, never heard about it before, The Darkness. It had Kevin Bacon in it. It was about the Anasazi Indians and basically bringing back the gods or whatever, or they were trying to break through and whatnot. This autistic kid took these rocks and whatever, you just got to watch it. But the movie was originally called 6 Miranda Drive, that equals 80. I even made a post about Gwen Stefani earlier. Gwen Stefani, 80. Donald Trump assassinated in Gematria equals 80. Obama's lame duck period equals 80. Right now we're in Obama's lame duck period. You know, Donald Trump, just a huge topic in the media constantly. He's always in the media, you know? Doesn't make that much sense, but he used to partially own Miss Universe, and then he had the controversy about building the wall and the Mexicans and whatnot, and then he became the sole owner. He ended up buying all of Miss Universe on 9/11 last year, and then he sold it all to WME-IMG on 9/14, right? I'll leave a little note as well that that number ties into assassinated presidents once again. I know Donald Trump's not the president, but still interesting. 149 equals, you know, Skull and Bones equals 149. William McKinley died on September 14th as well. But also what stuck out to me, so he sold Miss Universe to this company right here. We just got the story the other day about the UFC being sold to the same company. Originally, though, if you had looked it up, they had showed that it was to the WWE and not the WME, you know, and all you could think about was Brock Lesnar just winning or whatever, Brock Lesnar fighting again, Brock Lesnar in the WWE, Donald Trump also in many WWE things, you know, he's just an actor. Just want to show really quick, it was a very small post, but we have this article about Dana White getting death threats, you know, from Dan Quinn. Dana White equals 40, Dan Quinn equals 40. The 40th prime number just so happens to be 173. Black Lives Matter equals 173. Brock Lesnar just won UFC 200. His name equals 173 in Gematria. And for whatever the reason, Dana White reminded me a lot of Dan White, who is the guy who killed Harvey Milk, the first elected gay official in San Francisco. You know, also interesting, Steve Harvey was born on January 17th or 1/17. Michelle Obama, also born on that day. I made a video about the College World Series and how it connected to the gay theme and Michelle Obama. Also to the date of 11/7, which would be, the day before the presidential election. Muhammad Ali was also born on January 17th. A whole bunch of other 117s. This article about her becoming the prime minister even comes out on 11/7. There's also other forms, not necessarily 117, but 171. January 17th can even be written as 17/1. English Civil War equals 171. We had the death of Harambe. Harambe died on his 17th year, first day of being born or whatever. He died one day after his 17th birthday. Tons of other stuff, Muhammad Ali even had Parkinson's disease that equals 117. Chanticleers, right? Coastal Carolina equals 117. I talked about the death of Sean Rooks, who had his NBA debut on January 17th. His name also equals 117. He was a former Arizona player. He even died on 6/7 this year, June 7th, which I'll talk about here in a bit. But in regards to the whatever it was in West Phoenix, Maryvale killer or whatever, Maryville in Missouri equals 117. Undertaker equals 117. There's just been... I'll leave a link to this because it all goes back to this College World Series stuff and Michelle Obama. I'll leave a link to some stuff in regards to this, but Undertaker 117. Buffalo Bills, I've even mentioned, equals 117. Bruce Wayne equals 117. Batman. The original Batman was Michael Keaton. 117. He's also the dad in the movie The Love Bug, which I've also mentioned a whole lot, that equals 117. Which, oddly enough, I mentioned this even in the very beginning of 2015, I believe. Maybe even at the end of 2014. I was talking about how The Love Bug was number 53, and it was connected to 2016. So interesting now that I noticed the gematria of 117. In this movie, Lindsay Lohan is even wearing a shirt that has the Golden Gate Bridge and a blood moon on it, And also interesting, just in regards to love, in the video that I'll leave in the description, I talk a lot about love and the number 54, how it connects to Lupercalia, and a whole lot more, So, also 923, a very big number around Pope Francis's visit to the United States, equals 117, He came to America on his 923rd day as Pope, went to the White House the next day at 923. On 923, he left the United States on September 27th, and then later that night, we had the fourth blood moon of the Tetrad or whatever. So then, earlier today, we get this article on CNN, who will be the V-Prentice, right? Just a mocking of The Apprentice because of Donald Trump and whatnot. That in gematria also equals 117. And they were talking about how they were going to announce who he was going to pick for vice president on July 15th or whatever. But he ended up picking this guy on July 14th due to the attack in France. So just interesting. I had it listed in here, it'd be 117 days before the election, but since he did it today, it was 117 days before 11/7, right? 117. V-Prentice in gematria equals 128 and 56. Just numbers associated with all kinds of stuff. Philadelphia especially, Philadelphia, or Pennsylvania, I guess. Pennsylvania became a state on a date numerology of 128. William Penn, the guy who founded Philadelphia and founded Pennsylvania, his name equals 128 in gematria. Anyway, Pence Trump, right? This is how they'd probably run it as in the advertisements and whatnot. Pence Trump or Trump Pence equals 50 and 131. Prince Charles equals 131. Also, Louis XIV equals 131. I mentioned him as well because in regards to the English Civil War, you know, this guy also has a whole lot of ties that are connected to the English Civil War and also the 30 Years' War. He was the nephew of King Charles I's wife, Henrietta Maria. He was also the cousin of King Charles II, and when the English Civil War came to an end, he was banished to France, so he went to France where this guy, he was technically the ruler at the time, but he was also too young, so they say that his reign kind of didn't necessarily start until right around the same time that King James II came back for the Restoration in 1660, 1661 or whatever. This guy also, just in regards to the Jungle Book coming out, I talked about King Louis being the gorilla in the Jungle Book. You know, and that gorilla story, Harambe was in Cincinnati, and they have the Society of the Cincinnati that's connected to France. Louisiana, a big topic this year as well, even named after this guy. He was also the longest reigning monarch of any major European country ever, like 72 years, almost 73 years. Just interesting because Queen Elizabeth is the longest reigning monarch in, England or Britain or whatever. Anyway, if you write out Mike Pence, Donald Trump, it equals 219 and 93. 93, a super special number. Propaganda equals 93. It's the number of Thelema. Saturn equals 93. A ton of stuff with it, but this 219 I keep saying over and over. I mean, it's one of the biggest numbers I keep mentioning. I've been mentioning it since probably back in March in regards to the NBA Finals and its back-to-back theme that they had going. Cleveland Cavaliers even equal the same as back-to-back. So previously I had said that it's connected to Queen Elizabeth, which it is, but it's also connected to Hillary Clinton. Hopefully I'll leave a little note to re-explain it. There's a lot going on with 8-7 though. Anyway, 8-7 is the 219th day. That leaves 146 days left until the end of the year. Clinton in Gematria equals 87. Donald Trump was born on 14/6. He turned 70 years old this year. This also was Pope Francis's 1,189th day as Pope, matching the chapters in the King James Bible. Prince of Wales 146, United Kingdom 146. This story didn't come out though until July 14th, 14/7. This year, because it's a leap year, 8-6 or 6-8 is the 219th day. That leaves 147 days left. Interesting, if this is 6-8, Prince Charles equals 68, Pope Francis equals 68, Donald John Trump equals 68, Barack Obama equals 68. Prince Charles will even be 68 years old this year on November 14th. Also, if you go from Donald Trump's birthday to 8-7, a span of 54 days, a number that I've been mentioning a whole lot. I'll leave a link in the description to my College World Series stuff. There's a whole lot of 54 involved in that, and I talk about how it connects to other things. Just a lot to re-explain. But Theresa May just became the new Prime Minister of the UK. She's the 54th person to be the Prime Minister. So, Mike Pence, then, Donald Trump decides to announce on July 14th that he has selected him to be the vice president candidate, which is super fitting because, Mike Pence was born the same day as Prince the singer on 6-7, right? The same day as Sean Rooks that I had mentioned previously, but from his birthday to the day he was picked to be the candidate, a span of 38 days. This attack happened on Bastille Day, that equals 38. Napoleon equals 38. Bonaparte, or however you say that, equals 38. They even said VP. They didn't say vice president, VP equals 38. Prince equals 38. Minnesota 38. Louisiana equals 38. Just think about the recent fake shootings of the black people. The word death equals 38. You know, it's even connected to sports, like the Super Bowl that was on the 38th day of the year. Panthers equals 38. Colorado equals 38. It's the 38th state. Peyton Manning, right? Don't you notice 1 month, 8 days is 38 days as well? Peyton Manning, number 18 in his 18th season from the 18th state, Louisiana. First play of the Super Bowl was an 18-yard pass to number 81. And look at that, Prince. He dies 1 month, 17 days before his 58th birthday. Mike Pence is 57. Prince died at the age of 57. Prince's protege, Vanity, died at the age of 57. She even died 67 days before Prince. Prince born on 67. Blood sacrifice equals 67. Revelation equals 67. Interesting too, I'll mention later, you know, if you use the end date, it would be 48 days, 1 month, 18 days, which is fitting for some other things as well later. You know, and sometimes it's connected to both of these days. I think partially because, you know, the way the world works, the different time zones and everything else. And I apologize if I confuse people. I started making this video last night. I'm finishing it up today, so it's actually July 15th now, but I started making it on July 14th. So I had made this in regards to, it was before I knew that Mike Pence was selected yesterday. He was supposed to be selected today, but still interesting. This is a day that I have mentioned a lot, or not so much. I've been mentioning July 19th, which is 19/7, but there's been definitely something significant with 197. Today is the 197th day. It's also the 45th prime is 197. Mike Pence equals 45. Now he's running with Donald Trump. Trump's trying to be the 45th president. Prince equals 197. LeBron equals 197. Charles equals 207 in Jewish gematria. But if you write out 197, it equals 207. So, you know, possibly today, something significant. I haven't even really looked at the news or anything. I did see the name of the attacker, which is hilarious, but I'll get to that later. Anyway, Mike Pence then, you know, he was born on June 7th, 155 days before the election in the United States. His full name just so happens to equal 155 as well. So, you know, perfect fit for the election day. The small way his name equals 101. The word Philadelphia equals 101. Theresa May, born on 10/1. This day, I'm telling you, super connected to the Miss Universe pageant. His name in general, too, Pence, you know, it's a reference to currency or the penny. And it's just kind of interesting. We've talked about Brexit. Brexit happened 138 days before the election. Donald Trump equals 138 in gematria. Then we had Alton Sterling, right? The pound sterling. In regards to Brexit, also Abraham Lincoln was the first assassinated president, and he is on the penny. So I just wrote a little note in here. I have no idea if this will come true. It was just a thought that I had, but Mike Pence equals 45. If Donald Trump got assassinated, you would think that he would most likely become the new Republican candidate for president, so he'd be running for the 45th president. His name equals 45. Tons of people, at least on Facebook and whatnot, they hate Hillary Clinton. They hate Donald Trump. If Donald Trump goes out, I could see people voting for this guy, even though it doesn't even matter, but that's how the elites could change, you know, whatever. But there's a ton of other stuff pointing to Hillary Clinton, so just a thought, and I put it out there. He's also the governor of Indiana. Indiana, named after the Indians or the Native Americans. Just a huge topic that I keep mentioning. So anyway, let's get to this Nice or however you say it, Paris attack, and how it's connected to the Miss Universe. So, first off, the Republic of France was established on 9/22/1792, which was 223 years ago, until 9/22 this year. You know, Pope Francis, He came to America last year on 9/22. Anyway, if you go from 9/22 last year to July 14th, just so happens to be a span of 9 months, 22 days even. I didn't write it in here, but Napoleon D. Buonaparte, his real name or his full name, also equals 223. The word Masonic equals 223. Friday the 13th, the day of the previous Paris attacks on November 13th, equals 223. The Synagogue of Satan, 223. The French train attack in Thales, or however you say it, was 2 months, 23 days before this day even. And once again, one of the guys on that train was also from Roseburg, Oregon, that I mentioned earlier, and how it's connected to the Miss Universe. So anyway, I was mentioning how it's connected to Prince, but Prince also died on Queen Elizabeth's 90th birthday. If you go from that day to yesterday, July 14th, a span of 84 days, but it's also 2 months, 23 days. Pretty interesting, especially in regards to 8/4 as well. Barack Obama was born on 8/4. Literally, Jesuit equals 84. In regards to King Louis, it reminds me of the movie The Man in the Iron Mask with Leonardo DiCaprio, who played King Louis the 14th. And the Jesuits were trying to kill him and whatnot. The United States of America also equals 84. Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope. Obama and Jewish gematria even equals 84. But anyway, in regards to Prince dying on Queen Elizabeth's 90th birthday, Charlie Hebdo also equals 90 in gematria. And if you go from Charlie Hebdo to today or yesterday, July 14th, not only a span of 555 days, but 1 year, 6 months, 8 days, Queen Elizabeth II in gematria equals 168. And I mean, the reason it even sticks out, Prince Charles, Charlie, it's pretty obvious. So in regards to the Miss Universe pageant, this attack yesterday was a guy driving a delivery truck, right? And he was mowing people down and whatnot. But the same night the Miss Universe happened, there was a lady who drove down the sidewalk in Las Vegas, where the Miss Universe pageant was even being held. It was in Las Vegas as well, so, this lady drove up on the sidewalk and started mowing people down. She killed one person, injured 30 people. In the article, they even mention how it's on the Las Vegas Strip that equals 168, just like Queen Elizabeth II. If you go from this day to July 14th, a span of 207 days, right? Remember, Charles equals 207. If you go from the November 13th Paris attacks to the Miss Universe pageant, or the day this lady drove down the sidewalk, span of 38 days, right? So it killed one person, injured 37, sorry. So a total of 38 people, 38 days after the Paris attacks. So, once again, connected to the Prince, Minnesota, Louisiana, even Omaha, Lil Wayne. I've mentioned this number so many times in my previous, probably 15 videos. Also, if you go from July 14th to September 22nd, which will be the 224th anniversary of the French Republic, a span of 70 days, Steve Harvey messed up the crown, and he gave it to Miss Colombia. Colombia equals 70, but the true winner was supposed to be Miss Philippines. Philippines equals 70. If you write out the word 70, it equals 38 even, with the S exception, but it equals 29, just like France. If you include the end date, Donald Trump also just turned 70 years old, 31 days before July 14th, right? Nice equals 31 in gematria. The driver was supposedly a 31-year-old. If you write out the word 31, it equals 134, just like King Charles III. Well, check this guy's name out. So we just got news of this guy's name as well. Muhammad, whatever. If you just write out, if you don't put in this part right here, Muhammad Bolel, 134, just like King Charles. If you read out his full name, Muhammad and whatever, it's 216, which 8-4, the 216th day of the year. Also, now they're saying that he killed 84 people. So maybe this will go up, but 84 people. The small way, his name equals 99, a number I've mentioned a ton of times around political assassination. 99, also the day that Queen Elizabeth became the longest reigning monarch. Tons of other stuff. Like I said, I'll leave a note. Interesting too, it was a delivery truck. Delivery truck equals 65. Prince equals 65. Philadelphia equals 65. Talked about a lot of stuff connecting back to the Philadelphia train wreck last year. Philadelphia train wreck, 223. So one last thing about this guy. So I said, it was 31 days after Donald Trump's 70th birthday. This guy's supposedly 31. The place that it happens is equals 31. And on Wikipedia, they even say that his birthday is on January 3rd, which in France, they would even write the date as 3-1. Also, if this number stands right here, the 84 people that he killed, super interesting. 31 and 84 just so happen to be the only two numbers that if you write them out as words, as far as I know, that equal 134, right? And even more interesting, so let's just write out 31 here. The last time anything significant happened, that began in France, I guess, it was Air Egypt Flight 804. Anytime anything equals 134 in simple gematria, it always equals 804 in English gematria. So this truck attack also happens 56 days after the Flight 804 incident. Had 56 passengers on it. Paris, France equals 56. ISIS equals 56. It was going to Cairo, Egypt. Cairo, Egypt equals 56. And a ton more, The November 13th Paris attack was even connected to a lot of 56. 56 connected to tons of big events in history, The World Trade Center even connected to 56. Anyway, back to the Miss Universe stuff. So this lady was the lady who drove the car down the sidewalk in Las Vegas the night of the Miss Universe. Her name equals 177. She does it 177 days before Donald Trump's 70th birthday. The lady that Steve Harvey actually gave the crown to begin with, her name equals 177 the big way. Also equals 87 the small way. Queen Elizabeth the small way equals 87. She lost the crown, right? Just makes me wonder. I've been talking about the switch in power. They even tell you about Paris in this article about the lady driving down the sidewalk. She came to a stop at the Paris intersection, and then she accelerated again and just kept mowing people down, They were telling us about Paris there even. If you write out Nice or Nice, France, it equals 78 in gematria. And France, they write August 7th as 7/8. Once again, just something significant about this day with 146 days remaining. Yesterday was also 243 days after Prince Charles's 67th birthday. I've talked about how there's something significant about Princess Diana, his first wife and whatnot. I don't know what it is, but they keep putting her in the coding somehow. But she died on the 243rd day in Paris, which will be 19 years ago even. She even died on August 31st, right? 31/8. Prince Charles' birthday, November 14th, the 318th day of the year. Moving on though, so I've seen the number 48 just tons of times in recent events. If you go from the Miss Universe to the day that Queen Elizabeth celebrated her 64th anniversary, it's a span of 48 days. If you go from yesterday's attack to the anniversary of Princess Diana's death, also a span of 48 days. The Paris attacks on November 13th, That's the day that leaves 48 days in the year. Donald Trump equals 48. Beauty pageant equals 48. Hit by a truck equals 48 and 138. Identical to Donald Trump. Malcolm Little, who is Malcolm X. You know, I've talked about Super Bowl XX and whatnot in regards to the 85 Bears and Back to the Future. XX equals 48. Malcolm Little equals 48. Illuminati equals 48, founded by Adam Weishaupt, who was even born in the year 48. 48th prime, guess what it is? 223. Prince Charles, born in 48. King Charles I died at the age of 48. Charles II equals 48. Even in regards to, I've talked about how they seem to be coding the area that I live. Iowa equals 48. It's the 29th state. France equals 29. I even live in Harrison County. You know, Harrison equals 48. The only presidents to have the last name Harrison were the 9th and the 23rd president. 10 days after equals 48. This attack supposedly happened 10 days after our nation's independence. Harambe equals 48. He died in the Cincinnati Zoo. Cincinnati equals 48. Andrew Jackson equals 48. You know, he's not going to be on the $20 bill anymore. We just had an article about Joe Perry collapsing as well. And that same day, they had an article about Steven Tyler becoming a grandpa again. Steven Tyler equals 48. Them together are known as the Toxic Twins that equals 48. Even had the news story of the Tesla autopilot guy who wrecked in going to Yellowstone equals 48. Pokemon Go, 48. Obama's birthday, 8-4 or also 4-8. Also, the 147th day of the year is normally May 27th. If you go from May 27th to July 14th, which is 14/7, a lot like 147, a span of 48 days. Also 1 month, 17 days again, so interesting. That's probably why this 117 is significant, because it's connected to a 48. We even keep getting stories about Arizona, the 48th state. The girl who died in the Las Vegas, whatever, mowdown, she was even from Buckeye, Arizona. Most of Arizona was actually gained in 1848 at the end of the Mexican-American War. Mexicans equals 88, Trump equals 88, Purple equals 88, Creeping Charlie equals 88. Just tons and tons of 88 in regards to the death of Prince and how it connects to Prince Charles and the royal family. I've even mentioned how the movie The Exorcism and the book are based off of a town that I live 13 miles from, Erling, Iowa. But this year will be the 88th anniversary of it, coming up in August, so it'll be 88 years since that exorcism happened. The guy the town is named after, his name equals 134, like King Charles III. He became the president of the railroad on 9/23. And, you know, there's just something in regards to 88 and satanic rituals that I've noticed, so just kind of interesting. I also have mentioned this Native American theme. I've made tons of videos on it where there's something going on. They're trying to show me something or whatever in regards to the Native Americans. And I randomly went to watch this movie in the theater, never even heard of it, called The Darkness that equals 70. It's about the Anasazi Indians and whatnot. And basically how in real life they supposedly just disappeared off the map or whatever. But before they did that, they moved onto like the cliff sides and they lived like in really severely dangerous areas, you know, off of like the Grand Canyon area. And we even had just a story the other day about some lady who fell into the Grand Canyon. You know, Donald Trump's new vice president candidate, Mike Pence, he's even from Indiana, named after the Indians. The reason this movie also sticks out is because it came out on May 13th, a day they were showing me with all this 88 stuff in regards to copyright striking my old videos. But 134, the 134th day, May 13th, once again connecting to King Charles III. So, you know, moral of the story, I've been following this and it keeps connecting to the same thing I've followed I knew there was something really significant about that Miss Universe where Steve Harvey messed up the crown. Like I said, I even talked about the Minions movie. Minions even equals 48 in Gematria. So 48, a special number. All of this stuff done by the numbers. They even follow the storylines. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what it's all about. That's the whole point of trying to figure all this out and try to figure out what exactly is going to happen next, you know. I've talked about some things that I think might happen, like the possibility of Trump being assassinated or Obama. I really think that within the next year, Queen Elizabeth or King or Prince Charles is going to die. There's just something really significant about the royal family. They've used it in tons of coding, especially in sports. They've used it a lot. But, you know, I'm just trying to get this information out here so people can start seeing it and seeing really how scripted, you know, our world really is. So, you know, whatever. Gonna leave it at that. Gonna check out some other news articles today. See if anything, you know, more comes out with this. You know, to tell you the truth, I've only watched one video on this, and the one video looked pretty not real to me at all, so who knows, you know, I'm going to base my opinion on other stuff, but the video that I watched just didn't seem very legit, you know? And I mean, come on, just look at this picture right here. Give me a break. Families decimated, and they put a little baby doll and whatnot, getting people, you know, negative emotions. It's so obviously propaganda. It's so fake. It's just ridiculous, you know? Whatever, though. Like I said, I'm done. This video is super long. Have a good one. Actually, you know what? As I'm looking here, I see this article about Brady accepts Deflategate suspension. Let me show you something about Deflategate really quick. So, they said he deflated the balls 2 psi. Psi, the 23rd letter in the Greek alphabet. 223, right? Just like Masonic and all this other stuff. So, whatever. Have a great one.